President-elect Trump's incoming border czar, Tom Homan, making sure the incoming administration's plan for mass deportations is clear before Trump is even sworn in as president. Homan says mass deportations will happen. Family separation is back on the table. In an interview with NewsNation's Ali Bradley, Homan even encourages families to self-deport to make it easier, to quote, on the family. One clear complication is if children of undocumented migrants are United States citizens. Well, what would happen then? Here's how Homan responded.
Having a U.S. citizen child does not make you immune to our laws, and that's not the message we want to send to the whole world, that you can have a child and you're immune to the laws of this country. We can't send that message, because if we do, you're never going to solve the border crisis, because they won't continue to come. They think there's a way out.
Joining us now with more from our interview is NewsNation correspondent Ali Bradley. Ali, great interview. This is an issue President-elect Trump says he wants to start addressing on day one of his administration. What more did Homan tell you about this possibility of family separations?
Yeah, hey, Hannah. So, of course, the borders are there talking about these mass deportations. And with these mass deportations are going to come detentions. They have to hold these individuals somewhere while they figure out if they do need to be removed. And that includes these kids that are born to these migrants. Those children are U.S. citizens. They cannot be detained in this space for deportations. So the incoming administration is trying to navigate that. And they are actually considering halfway houses to help. Take a listen.
As far as U.S. children, that's going to be a difficult situation, because we're not going to detain U.S. citizen children, which means, they're going to be put in a halfway house, or they can stay at home and wait for the officers to get the travel arrangements and come back and get the family. The best thing to do is for family to self-deport themselves, because that makes it easier for the family. They can get their their arrangements all together, and they can leave on their own behalf.
So you heard him encouraging families to self-deport together, saying that they will contact these families. They will allow them to kind of get their affairs in order. But that's the best case scenario, is that they potentially leave together. Now, when it comes to figuring out if these families are even legitimate families in the first place, Hannah, that is another task they're going to have to deal with, because the Biden administration did away with mandatory DNA testing. However, Homan tells me they will absolutely be bringing that back after they found out in the past that around 30% of these family units were fraudulent. So he says they will make it mandatory for every family unit to be DNA tested. Now, he also said this is all about the will of the people. He said America wants him to go and find these 320,000 unaccompanied children who are also unaccounted for. He says that he will be part of that task force, and he will be working in lockstep with the Office of Refugee Resettlement to also find those children, because that is what America wants. Hannah.
And Ali, the mass deportations are going to take time. It's going to take resources. Do we know what that's going to look like and how it's going to impact the American taxpayer?
Yeah, it's going to take a lot of time, and it is going to come with a very big price tag. We're talking about $86 billion, the border czar says, to carry out these deportations. Now, I pressed him on it, because when you look at the amount of people who have come into the country, we're looking at around 11 million when you factor in the gotaways and things like that. Well, say you spend $1 million per person per year. It's going to take decades for that to come out in the wash and equal that $86 billion, right? So I asked him, what is the benefit? How do you sell this to the American taxpayer? Take a listen to what he said there.
Spending this amount of money in the beginning of this operation, again, it's expensive, but in the long run, it's going to be a tax savings, because this is what needs to be done. What price do you put on our national security? I don't think it has a price tag. What price do you put on cases like Lake and Riley? What price do you put on the thousands of angel moms and dads who buried their children? You want to talk about family separation? They buried their children because their children were murdered by illegal alien that wasn't supposed to be here. I don't put a price on that. I don't put a price on our national security. I don't put a price on American lives. This is what has to be done. The price tag is high, but in the long run, it saves the taxpayers a lot of money, because we're paying right now billions of dollars in perpetuity.
Now, Hannah, you don't see a lot of similarities between the Biden and the incoming Trump administration. Under Biden, you heard him point regularly at Congress, that Congress needs to act. This is a similarity here from the border czar, hearing that Congress needs to act. They need resources. So once again, they're pointing the finger at Congress. They need those resources. But here's the thing. I said, what if Congress says nothing? Yeah. Homan said, It's the will of the American people. We will do what we need to do with the resources we have and start there and wait on Congress to act.
Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.